Top of the day to you, beautiful people. Joe Corbisiero today, alive, excited, and full of energy with Javier Hernandez.
Hey guys, how you doing? Javier here with Compass on the Dream Homes team.
So today we're going to break down a few things for you. Javier and I wrote down a couple of notes, right? Javier, we're going to be talking about inflation versus real assets. You know, the inflation has been a huge topic.
It has.
Seems like we're about hovering anywhere from 8.2 to 8.5 inflation, which is the highest we have seen in the last 4 years. 40 years. So with that said, Javier, explain to us why is it more beneficial to the people in the world to invest in the real assets versus having money sitting in the bank?
Yep, so the reason why it's going to be better to invest in real estate just in general, and not just right now, but more than ever now because of inflation, you have that 8% inflation. So what that means is your dollar is costing you more to be spent now than it would have before. Of course, you see it in the gas prices. Gas is higher now. That's for some other reasons, but you have inflation for product. When you go to the grocery store, you're paying more for everything nowadays. Right. So the 8% that you have on your dollar, so that dollar that you're spending, that you spent before, now with the 8% inflation, it's costing you $1.33 for that same dollar amount.
Let this sink in for a second. So we're saying, because we use actually an inflation calculator online, and it seems like that the dollar that we used to spend for any goodies, now we have to come out of pocket $1.33 for the same dollar spent. That, to me, that's nuts.
Yeah, that's nuts. And on the other end, if you were to invest in some real estate on average, now with how the prices are and how the appreciation is happening, it's at about a 2% average, we can say, even though we had these huge gains these last 2 years of 10, 12, 18%. You know, you may still see those high gains, but just to keep it more conservative and just keep it simple, we'll just say a 2% increase. So if you were to buy a house in San Diego for $800,000, then that $800,000 potentially is going to grow at a 2% rate every year. So that's $16,000 a year. So would you rather lose 8% of your dollar on everything you're spending, or have that investment in real assets that's going to make you money and it's going to go up in value every year? And on top of that, you're going to be paying it down as well.
So imagine this for a second. You can actually offset the inflation and fight inflation when you invest in the real assets. So I use, as an example today, Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone is one of the largest holding of real estate in the United States, actually. He owns, I don't know how many, thousands and thousands of units. And I use him as an example. He's a billionaire because he's been investing for years now, over 20 years, in the real estate. I actually heavy invest in the real estate myself. Everything I make goes back into real assets instead of having it sit in the bank. And the same thing, even if you have a 401k, you can actually pull out a loan out of it to use it as a down payment to buy real assets. What I always he talks about it, and I always remind myself, what's called mailbox money. How cool is that when every month you have a tenant that's going to actually pay rent? So you can offset and fight this inflation that is tremendous at the moment. So the rent rarely goes down, especially with the inflation. Rents have been going up. Here in San Diego County, it's insane. I mean, you got to find a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, you got to spend at least $4,000, which is a lot of money if you think about it.
And you have a huge increase in rent. Anywhere from 5 to 10% a year
every
now,
single year.
Especially if you don't have rent control, you're screwed.
Yeah, you're pretty much screwed. That's right. So the cost of building and inflation, Javier, you know, the people complain about, hey, the price has been going up, everything's up, buying a home is expensive, but it's expensive to build too. We went from $100, $150 a square foot to build a home, now it's $300, $350 plus, where the problem is supply chain and so on and so forth.
The cost of building has increased a lot.
Right,
as well.
So you gotta put that in perspective too. Don't just look at it, it's like, oh, well, real estate is crazy, the prices are too high. Everything is too high. The only thing to offset the inflation is keep investing in real assets. Now, Javier and I were gonna share with you some tips regarding rent versus buy. You know, we are adamant about buying a home. We believe in this. We believe in the American dream, and we always recommend everyone to own a home instead of rent. Why, Javier?
Absolutely. It's always going to be better to own a property, to be a homeowner versus renting, because it's continuously going to be going up in value, and you're also going to be lowering the balance of the loan on the property that you have. You have tax benefits, you have all kinds of benefits. So if we were to just compare rent to buying, obviously rent is a waste of money. We all know it. You're paying 100% interest rate on your rent payment every single month to your landlord, and the only interest that is great in that is for your landlord. Your landlord is the only one that's benefiting off of that. So it's a waste of money. Everyone knows that. And another thing is going to be your rent's going to be increasing every year, especially now with inflation. I mean, I myself got a 5 to 8% increase in my rent, which is huge. And you're seeing those increases happening every year. So you're wasting money with rent. Every year, you're wasting even more money because they're increasing your rent. And there's also just no benefits. There's no tax benefits. There's no write-offs that you can use. You are not in control of your rental. The landlord is in control of your rental. So they're just taking your money, and that's just where it's going. So,
right. On that note, benefits of buying a home versus rent. So let's say everyone actually asks us on the calls when we're making phone calls, like, what about if I lose my job tomorrow and I can't pay the mortgage? Guess what? You probably have a better situation if you own a home and you have a mortgage versus if you rent. If you don't pay your rent, what's going to happen? They're going to evict you. And if the eviction goes on your credit, you're done. You can't rent another place anymore. Your credit score is going to be affected by it. And there's no other ways. If you own a property, and I know this for a fact because it happened to many of my clients in the past, pre-pandemic, during pandemic, and now as well. If they lose their job or somebody owns a home and you have a mortgage, if you call your bank and you tell them that you're in distress and you need a little bit of time, guess what? They're going to work with you. They're going to give you a break. They might be able to extend the payments or maybe give you 3 months or 6 months to get back on your feet. They don't want to foreclose on you because a foreclosure is a big deal for a bank. It takes a year or two, they have to kick you out, and it's way too much money wasted for a bank versus you just making a phone call. They will agree on a different payment plan, and you're going to keep your home, and your credit is not going to be affected. So I'm telling you, those are just a few of the benefits owning a home versus rent. This is all I got for today. Well, thank you very much for watching this video.
That was some great information for you guys to take in. Thank you guys for joining us.
Ciao.